So before I get into this commentary, I guess I should point out the fact that I'm cool or good friends with both of these people. I'm not really sure what's with the Uncharted community in particular when it comes to uploading, competitive tryharding matches of this type of nature, because I know there are certain people in the community who've kind of made themselves known for uploading matches like this, and usually their intentions are malicious or they're trying to instigate and start drama. But me personally, I just prefer watching, competitive, matches between like the best of the best versus, one dude curb stomping a bunch of noobs or something. And I know there's an audience of people who do enjoy, watching those beast gameplays or whatever. But me personally, I feel like the game is most entertaining to watch, and you really get to learn more about the game at that top tier competitive level when you see the best of the best really go at it, and it usually results in really close, exciting competitive matches, which I personally prefer watching. And this isn't just an Uncharted. This is just about any competitive multiplayer game I tend to watch. I like watching the best of the best go at it. And as you can see here, this is an Uncharted 2 1v1 between NarutoDoom and Dai-A667. It was sent to me by a friend. I think the match took place, 2011ish or something. That's what the cinema said. And when I saw this gameplay, it was a really good, exciting 1v1 match. And then I thought, hey, why not do a commentary about 1v1s or something, since honestly, I never really thought about doing a commentary about 1v1s, but when I really thought about it, there are a few things that I could say about it that I never really thought of before until I watched the cinema. And when it comes to 1v1s, I mean, there is a certain level of like negativity and stigma when it comes to, the whole thought process of 1v1s, and it kind of originates with the fact that when you think of 1v1s, or for those who are bilingual, one-on-ones, they usually come from the fact that, maybe you're just playing a match, a public match or something, and you run into some dude, they beat them, they get real butthurt and shit, after they lose, you really, really hurt their ego or something, and they get all nerd ragey on your ass, and what do? They send you a 1v1 request because they feel like this is their way of redeeming themselves, proving themselves, illustrating that they are better than you, and because they lost, it meant nothing. They're still better than you as a player. And they feel like 1v1s are, the fairest and best way to test like an individual player's skill. And it's pretty funny, and it's usually pretty childish, and a lot of the times it doesn't really stem from like the same competitive like vein as like other competitive matches. It's usually just some kids or somebody just having way too much of an ego, way too hot-headed or something, and they act in the brash of the moment. They just want to really prove to you. It's all about egos. It's all about pride. It's not even in the same vein of like truly wanting to be competitive. And a lot of times when you do 1v1s, especially, in shooters, they pretty much kind of expect the same thing out of you, whether it be an Uncharted 1v1 or a Call of Duty 1v1. They expect you to go head up every single time. And it's pretty funny that they do, because a lot of the times in just about any 1v1, you're not always going to go head up. I mean, ideally, what people expect out of a 1v1 from you is you face them, they face you, you shoot each other at the same time, which probably isn't going to happen. And, this is how you measure, their beastly gunfighting skills, I guess, And it's a pretty strange mentality. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of back in the day, really shoddy history lesson by yours truly here, of back in the day, during like the 1700s or something, the British and the colonists or something. And, but militaries would test their might, but they'd be facing each other. They'd line up in rows, they'd load up their little muskets, and they'd shoot each other at the exact same time. And obviously, warfare has evolved a little bit since then. Now there's guerrilla warfare, flanking isn't dishonorable or something. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, well, that's real life. This is a video game. And trust me, I know it's a video game, but face the facts here. When you're playing said video game, especially a shooter, how often do you personally go head up? I mean, think about it. Do you always go head up? Because if you do, I mean, first of all, bravo. Somehow you've achieved a playstyle that is the most manliest and honorable way possible. If you honestly, like, always go head up. If you, let's say you're shooting someone, you don't shoot them in the back. You wait for them to turn around so they can face you, and then you shoot them, and you do some really honorable, noble dueling shit. If that's what you do when you play shooters, then bravo and kudos to you, because how you orchestrate that on a match-to-match basis is truly beyond me, because most of the times when I play, and when you see most normal people play, you see people, they go head up when they have to, they shoot people in the back, they flank, they do a lot of different things, they don't always go head up. On 1v1s, they're pretty much focused on, all the time going head up, or that's how they really evaluate you. And like a lot of the times, there's a lot of negativity surrounding 1v1 because of the fact that, like I said, it stems from people and their giant ass egos and how good they are, and when they lose, they get all mad and shit. And a lot of times you see people, uploading each other's 1v1s for like, really childish, immature purposes. And like I said, you can't really expect people always to go head up all the time, but these people who usually challenge you to 1v1s, that's pretty much what they expect out of you in 1v1s. They expect to test your head up skills or something. But that's not even the whole game. They're gonna evaluate your skill based on how good you are in this one aspect of the game, and that being head up. And it kind of reminds you of the mentality of back at Uncharted 2 when, kind of game battles kind of died and everyone was doing their 5v5 TDMs, and that's the only thing they did. That's how they determined who was the best team, just by who was the best in TDM 5v5s. And it's the same thing with 1v1s. They test who's the best player just by how good they are head up, not how smart they are as a player, how strategical they are, how well they perform on a team, how well their communication is. None of that. Just their head up skill. That's what really matters to, test an individual player's talent. And it's pretty ridiculous. And I'm not knocking the importance of an individual player's skill by any means, don't get me wrong. Because being individually skilled as a player is very important. But after you get to a certain level of skill, and you're playing against more or less the same level of players, it doesn't really become the big concern. Like, you don't even worry about head up anymore. You do it when you have to. It kind of, it's in the back of your mind, basically. And I know some of you are thinking, oh, well, there's this mode called free-for-all, so I mean, 1v1s. Let me stop you right there about free-for-all. First of all, free-for-all is a terrible mode, and the only reason it's a playlist is because it's for a mode for people, who kind of just want to lone wolf it. They don't want to play against a team or something, or they don't want to be thrown on a team with a bunch of idiots. Free-for-all is literally just a mode for people, who just want to play by themselves and don't want to put up with that whole team aspect. That's pretty much what free-for-all is. And when you really think about it, if you had a scenario with like a free-for-all with all the best players, kind of an equal skill per se, you would never really get a consistent outcome. Like, honestly, it would always kind of be random or changing. Free-for-all has terrible fucking spawns. A lot of times in free-for-alls, it's not even the same as what you'd expect in a 1v1. A lot of free-for-alls, you tend to shoot people in the back all the time, and most of the time when you're doing a free-for-all and you come out on top, if you see how they win free-for-alls, it's because they kind of got lucky. They got people, shooting each other in the back and stuff. That's usually how people win free-for-alls in the first place. So you can't really tell me free-for-all by any means justifies people doing 1v1s, but in particular in team-based shooters. It's just ridiculous. And I feel like a lot of the times people who do 1v1s, they do it pretty religiously. Like they're serious about this type of shit. I really feel like they might be playing the wrong game, to be completely honest. Like, if you really want to do some really honorable 1v1 type shit, maybe you should dip your toes into some fighting games, or it's pretty much that's how it is in 1v1s. Like, if you want to test an individual player's skill in a 1v1 in an honorable-ish way, I guess, you should probably do some fighting games. That's the place for 1v1s. And even then, it's not completely clean. Kind of like when you see a 1v1 in for example, this 1v1, you see people, sometimes they don't take the shot. They want to get that first shot. You see, people double nading each other. You see a lot of, not so honorable things going on in 1v1s. And you can't even expect that even in a fighting game where it really is the test of individual skill. When you play someone in a fighting game, they're going to try to play mind games with you. They're going to try to fake you out. There's a certain level of strategy to it outside of this really honorable fisticuffs manner, or in a shooter it's this really honorable dueling face to face mano a mano who gets the first shot shooting type shit. Like, that is a really archaic mentality, but people really feel like this is the way of testing players' skill. And like I said, there's always going to be people like this. You're just going to have to get used to it. And that's kind of why 1v1s kind of have a really negative perspective among certain people, and that's why people joke about it, because it's really hard to take a lot of these people seriously, because usually they just want a 1v1 because they're super butthurt and shit. And I'll be honest, I can't really say I'm completely innocent when it comes to this whole 1v1 thing, since I have taken part in certain 1v1s. I mean, for example, in Uncharted 3, there were a lot of people who would call me out sometimes, and most of the times I usually ignored it, but there have been a few times in Uncharted 3 where I actually did some 1v1s against some idiots, and in Uncharted 2, and I regretted every single one of them, because it was the biggest waste of time, and I felt like the biggest fool giving these idiots the time of day. One time when I did a 1v1 on Uncharted 3, this guy was clearly butthurt that I curb stomp his shit in a match. He tells me to 1v1 him. I do, because I was stupid. I play him. He's crying the whole damn match. I'm playing the 1v1. After I beat him, He sends me a barrage of messages with a bucket load of excuses. I use a turbo controller, I suck head up or something, or I only, engage a gunfight when I got the first few shots, or just ridiculous excuses and criticism left and right. And it honestly just gave me a headache, and I felt really stupid for even giving that fucking moron the time of day. And in Uncharted 2, I think that's where I received my best excuse after a 1v1. This dude in Uncharted 2 wanted to 1v1 me. I did. After I beat him, he had the best excuse I'd ever seen. Because when it comes to 1v1s, like I said, there's a lot of egos. 1v1s and excuses go hand in hand. They're like siblings. So when this guy gave me his excuse, I literally had no witty comeback or comment to say. He told me, oh, that 1v1 didn't count. You played my brother. You have to play me again. I'm like, are you serious? I played your brother? What, am I going to beat you again and have to play your mommy? I played your mom that time? I mean, are you joking me? It was so fucking stupid. And then I just ignored him because I would really have to put up with that shit. And there was another time early on in Uncharted 2 where I had a 1v1 against this one individual. And it was kind of my first experience with 1v1s in Uncharted in particular. And this person, I'm not going to drop any names or anything, this person kind of was known for like kind of 1v1ing everyone in Uncharted 2 in particular. And it was early on in Uncharted 2, so I didn't really know this person. And I was introduced to this person via a friend. And I'm assuming that same friend kind of told them that, hey, this person's really good and stuff. And then they wanted to play me, I guess, because they wanted to see how good I was. And I'm assuming they wanted to compare their skill versus mine. So we had a 1v1 on Plaza or whatever. It was a really good match. I don't have the cinema anymore. I won, and they had plenty of excuses, and they kind of criticized how I played and stuff. And after that, I kind of realized the reason, basically, why he wanted to 1v1 me. He really just wanted it to, brag to his friends that, hey, I beat this guy who was supposedly good and I'm better than him. Like, if he had won, that's probably what he would have done, but he lost, and instead he had plenty of criticism and excuses for what happened. And that pretty much kind of introduced the fact that 1v1s aren't really about being competitive more often than not. It's just about, kids trying to prove themselves and their egos and shit. That being said, I mean, I don't feel like 1v1s have like zero place in, team-based shooters, because I've emphasized the importance of, teams and stuff, and I'm not dismissing individual skill by any means, but I do feel like, 1v1s might be a okay way of, warming up, or, just practicing with people before you actually play a match or something casual, simple like that. But like taking 1v1 super seriously in a team-based shooter is pretty preposterous, and I really can't believe anyone really does this sort of thing. It's like I said, more often than not, it's usually just about really stupid, childish shit. And honestly, I have seen some really good 1v1s outside of this one, and I do encourage you to check it out if you've interested in this sort of top tier level of play and stuff. There are some alright quality 1v1 matches, but like I said, I don't really feel like they're the best way of measuring people's skill individually. But some people really do feel like this is the way to test an individual's player's skill versus another player's skill. It's just really sad that some people truly believe this, and they abide by this, unspoken code of sorts. And that's about it for this commentary. As you can see, this 1v1's wrapping up. And be sure to leave your thoughts and comments and your kind of experience or thoughts on 1v1s and the entire subject matter of that. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.